Hey. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this evening, where I am at least, this evening's presentation all about goal mastery. It's such a pleasure to do this with you this evening. And yeah, I would love to keep it interactive. So if you have any questions or anything as we go through the information, then feel free to put it in the chat box, which is, I think, just to the side of your screen. So then I can answer any of your questions or anything as we go through, or I will come to them at the end when I will take any questions that you have. So do put them in. If anything occurs to you, feel free to put it in the box, in the chat box, especially if you're on your laptop or computer. I think you should be able to see that. If you're on your mobile, there's probably some kind of something you're supposed to look at in order to figure out where the chat box is, but there is a chat box on here. It's such a pleasure to have you here, and I'm going to share my screen, but I wanted to say hey before I disappeared behind a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, let's do this thing. So let's see if I can make the techie stuff work. Okay, I think, let's see. Yes. I think you can see that, so hopefully you can. If there is any issues, again, do put that in the chat box. Yeah, let's make a start. Okay. Da-da-da. Yes. So we're talking about goal mastery today. It's the free masterclass on goal mastery. That's my smiley face staring at you. What can you expect today? We're going to talk about how to get what you want, the steps involved in doing that. We're going to talk about setting goals and 10 guidelines for actually setting goals that you turn into reality. And yes, we'll go on to speaking about how to make it all incredibly easy for yourself so that you're not kind of struggling to make things happen, which is what happens to a lot of people. Even used to happen to me quite a lot as well. And now I just kind of, yeah, focus in and get the stuff done. So I want to show you exactly what I do and also what you can do and take some of the lessons from here and apply it to your life. And I think you will see a difference, man. Okay, let's get into it. So let's get into explaining who I am, I suppose. I'm Rosemary, Nonny, just in case you don't know. It depends on where you actually saw this or came from. You may or may not have listened to my craziness at some point in your life, but I'm Rosemary, Nonny. I'm a weird, I call myself, blend of African and English because I'm not quite black enough to be black, in that my family did think I'm a bit too white. And I'm not quite white enough by any stretch of the imagination to be completely white. So I just kind of fit somewhere in the middle, and I have different ideas about where things go. And I think I quite nicely blend the being an English citizen with being African as well, and come up with interesting ways of looking at things, which is kind of why I'm slightly more different, maybe, than other people, in that I kind of look at the world very differently, having lived in both a third world country and lived in a developed country. And so I see some of the issues with both, and I see what could hold people back better because I'm kind of outside of both of them. Okay, and I actually started my career, my proper career, as a pharmacist, and did all my training and all of that stuff because that was kind of what I was groomed to be in some ways. You know, coming from a third world country, you kind of had to, if you were blessed enough to have parents who could educate you, then they wanted to make sure that you could walk straight into a job for very good reason, absolutely, for sure. However, it wasn't necessarily the thing that I wanted to do with the rest of my life, but I did think for a long time that that was what it was going to be. I would do the stuff that I really wanted to do in my spare time rather than doing it during the day. However, yes, as you may have discovered, or may you learn about me as we carry on, I finally decided enough with that and decided to become instead a property investor. There's a whole lot of story with that, and all to do with a lot of debt, a lot of depression, a lot of finally having to make the choice to step up and do something different if I did actually want a different life. Because yeah, bringing my children into the world, I'm thinking I don't want to be at work all the time trying to dig myself out of a hole. And so what can I do? Finally, instead of dabbling at business, I finally committed to making business work because I found a big why. Okay. And my big why was my kids and the fact that I did not want them to have the same childhood I had had. And I wanted to be around them growing up. And so that gave me the impetus to stick with building this business, my property business. So I built up a property management kind of company thing, real estate, depending on what country you're in. And that replaced my income. Once I really committed my mind to making this happen, in fact, I won a Porsche Boxster, which was pretty awesome for my husband. And And within 18 months of starting that business, of hard slog, okay, I can say 18 months in like 1 second, but 18 months is, 18 months of serious slog. Slog, when I say slog, I mean hard work, just in case you're not English and you don't understand slog. But it was some serious stuff, and I don't ever want to diminish the journey that most entrepreneurs are on. It is not the easiest journey on the planet. In fact, I was just responding to an email from someone about this very same thing. And it's the truth. It's not the easiest journey on the planet to be an entrepreneur. It's not the easiest journey on the planet to choose to live a life that you define rather than one that somebody else has defined for you. It's not easy to make your goals, your dreams, and all of that stuff come to pass. So yes, for me, having that huge, big why made a huge difference to being someone who dabbled at business and just kind of talked about how, yes, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and becoming someone who actually made stuff happen. Because for me, in some ways, I'd been groomed to be a professional, to be a pharmacist. That was easy. Yeah, you just kind of studied your head off, and you went and you jumped into a job. Okay, yeah, the exam to become a pharmacist was probably the scariest day of my life, at least to that point. Anyway, I've had many more scary days since starting business, that's for sure. But yes, and then it was easy. You kind of turn up at work, as long as you don't kill anyone, generally, then you're fine. Okay, as long as you're careful, you hand out the drugs the way you're supposed to, and you check things, then you're fine. But then you're starting in business, you're doing your own business. It's never quite so defined in that way. And so a lot, because for one, you have to wear so many hats, don't you? You have to wear so many hats, and it gets kind of tough, because especially if you're in the business of something that you actually enjoy, but you find that, yes, the enjoyment part, the part that you actually got into business to fulfill is, yeah, that's great when you're doing it. But then you also have to promote yourself. You have to make sure the numbers are this. You have to look at all the other stuff and keep all of that stuff ticking over, stuff that you may not necessarily have done in your job, and because other people did different parts in your big company job thing. Just like I was a pharmacist, I didn't have to do all the other stuff. I just kind of did my pharmacy thing and maybe managed some staff, but that was kind of it, basically. That I could go home and forget about it. But your business, it kind of sticks around you all the time. It's with you all the time, and it can feel tough. I'm not even sure how I started here, but here I am. I was telling you a little about myself, and then started talking about the fact that the journey of business can be tough. And so, yes, ultimately, I had to find a very big why in order to keep me going. Because, yeah, and I'd kind of come through the very darkest parts of my life, I would say, when I went bankrupt. And that really made me feel or doubt myself incredibly, because I just thought, oh, my goodness, I never thought this would happen to me. And here I am, facing this kind of nonsense. Seriously, how is this happening? And so from that angle, I get it. I get the both sides, or I get everybody's side, but then I also work with people to really help them keep doing the work in order to get the result. And I suppose that brings me from, yeah, I did my property investing thing, got myself out of pharmacy, realized that that was almost a sidestep from pharmacy, and that, yeah, pharmacy was not something I really wanted to do, but I did it anyway. It was a means to an end. Property itself as well became a means to an end. I wanted to stay home with my kids. It gave me the ability to do that. But then it kind of, I carried on expanding and realizing that I need to do something that will fulfill me. And I'd always kind of thought about the whole coaching thing. I'd been doing it in my spare time type thing, but I had never thought that I would, at this stage in my life, be in a position where I can actually support people in creating their own wealth and creating a life that they actually enjoy. But then working with my coach myself, who said, why not? Why not do what you say that others can do? And that's the truth. And that's how I started being a coach myself. And yeah, and so property allowed me to do that, allowed me to then build it up. And here we are having this conversation, you and I. And you can find out more about what I'm about on rosemarynonnynight.com. Let's carry on. So let's get into the meat of this, okay? So you want something, ultimately. And as that says, we cannot just wish for it. Life is too short to wait. The only thing we do not have enough of is time. And sometimes we forget that. We forget that in the daily grind of everything. You just kind of start to live in a settled for life, because it just seems easier just to kind of do whatever is in front of you to do. But then the same actions get you the same results. It's just the way it always works, always. So if you want something, there's certain steps that you must go through, okay? And whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, whatever it is, we all have to go through these steps. And number one is that you must absolutely know what you want. You must be very clear about it. It mustn't be, oh, I just want to make a little bit more money. That is not specific enough. And so therefore, you will make a little bit more money, but that little bit may be a lot less than you are actually thinking, because you never stated categorically exactly what it is that you are trying to make happen. Whether it's that you want to be in a loving relationship, be very specific. What kind of people do you want to be in? Okay, where you're all entrepreneurs, most of the time I talk about business, but you know what? All of life matters. So when it comes to setting goals, there might be different areas of your life that you want to set goals in, and that's absolutely fine. You just need to get, number one, supremely clear about what it is that you want. I personally subscribe to the concept of journaling about everything, okay? So in my journal, I write out my goals. I get very clear. I get clearer each day, in fact, on what it is that I am trying to create, and I write them down. That kind of, it's not just something in my head, it's also something that I'm writing down, although we're going to be talking some more about all of that stuff. But for now, the very first step to getting anything that you want is to know what you want. And I know most people think they do, but they always, whenever I ask people, that's usually, unless they've worked with me for a little while or they've worked with another coach or they're into personal development in some way, they're never really as clear as they could be about what they're actually trying to make happen, which always is like, yeah, how are you going to know when you get there, or whether you're going in the right direction, or if you're just kind of going off on some random tangent somewhere? You need to know exactly what it is that you want. And then you need to believe that you are worth whatever it is. Because it's all right having big ideas, big dreams. And for a long time, that was me. Big ideas, big dreams. But there was a part of me that really didn't think I was worth it, okay? I felt I made too many mistakes, that there's just too much rubbish going on in my life, blah, blah, blah. And so therefore, I didn't allow myself to take the action long enough to see the result. So do you believe that you are worth the thing that you keep talking about? And these are serious questions that, again, people just kind of assume they are sorted, but they're not ever really sorted. In fact, even I've done a lot of internal work, and yet I make sure that I'm dealing with this stuff. Not always, not every single day am I navel gazing, but then at the same time because I spend the time first thing every morning in journaling and kind of asking myself questions. I work with coaches, I work in a mastermind groups, just to make sure that I'm always on track. This kind of stuff, it comes up, and then I can deal with it quickly. Whereas most people walk through life kind of blindfolded, not really aware that they don't think they're worth getting what they say they want, and then wonder why year by year by year they don't get it. Because if you do not think that you're worth it, you will not take the action to get it, because you will not believe it's possible for you. So number one, you need to know what you want. Number two, you need to believe inside of you that you are worth it. And I say to you, you are. Okay? You are more than worth it. Just the fact that you're alive makes you priceless. That's all there is to it. But I know it's not always that simple for people, so look at that stuff. Number three thing to consider here is that you need to believe that you can achieve it, because that is another thing that will stop you in your tracks. If you have any doubts inside of you of your capability of doing something, then you will prove yourself right time and time and time again. And you won't even know you're doing it, okay? That's the problem. You keep telling yourself, oh no, it's because this happened and that happened and the other thing happened. But really it's because you've never really truly, one, believed that you're worth whatever it is that you're trying to get, and two, believe that you can get whatever it is. So there is a lot of work to be done on your mind to ensure that you are consistently moving forward and taking action powerfully, which does bring me to my fourth point, because once you've got through, knowing what you want, knowing that you're worth it, knowing that you can do it, then it's time to take serious action, because it is the action that will always get you the result. The problem is because there's all this other stuff kind of playing out in the background, you don't take enough action to see things happen. Can I tell you now that the only reason you do not have your goals yet, or one of the only reasons is, no, in fact, it's the main reason, is because you've not done the work to get it. You may be working seriously hard. Absolutely, no doubt. I see so many people working their butts off every single day, creating a life they do not want, because that's all they feel they deserve. That's all they feel they are worth. That's all they feel they can achieve. And so therefore, they work hard. There's no doubt about it. They work hard, but they are working hard, creating a life they do not want any longer. And it's such a pity to see, because they cannot convince themselves that they can get what they want. And so therefore they settle for getting whatever they can. Okay, and they work hard doing it. And I just think if you would just redirect your efforts to getting deliberately what you do want, you will be surprised how quickly you get there. Because as I said to my peeps in the Deliberate Millionaire this morning, the work, it always works. It just depends on what kind of work you are doing. Okay, so if your work is taking you in some kind of crazy direction that you say you don't want, and yet you keep taking the same actions that get you there, you will always get there. You will never go somewhere different, which is why, again, I say you have to be so clear about what it is that you're working towards, and be asking yourself, is the action I'm taking today getting me here, or is it keeping me in place? Basically keeping me in a place that I don't even want to be anymore. You need to deal with this internal stuff and the external stuff, which is the work. You need to take massive, massive action in order to get you where you want to go. Because, honeys, you have spent a considerable amount of your life working very hard to get where you don't want to go. So, so now you are trying to redirect your efforts to get to achieve goals, to make your dreams come to pass, to turn them into reality quicker than you ever have before. Then expect to have to put immense action in the right direction. So please make sure you've primed yourself to be sure that you think you can get it. One, that you start to believe in the power that is inherent inside of you to create whatever you choose to create, that you just know that you are worth it, and you're very clear about what it is that you're working towards, and you are taking that action every single day until you get to where you want to go. Okay, so that's 4 main things that you really need to keep in mind whenever you're setting goals for yourself. Because here we are towards the end of the year. We're thinking January is coming around the corner, and I know for a lot of people, they have not achieved anything anywhere near as much as they thought they would have by now. So what is going to make 2016 any different except you start to do different things? Okay, so get clear on what you want. Get clear that you are worth it. Get clear that you can achieve it, and then take massive, immense action to make it happen. Okay? You are capable. I know I may not have met you ever, but I know that you are capable, because, honeys, you are a human being. You are more capable than you even realize. We all live beneath our full potential. Even I surprise myself every day. So, so it's time to wake up and to accept the fact that you are more powerful than you realize. And regardless of what success you've had to date, yes, you will need to let go of the past so that you can step into your future. So if you're holding on, it's just like for a very long time, I held on to the fact that I'm a pharmacist. I'm a pharmacist because being a pharmacist sounds so much better than some generic business person, because pharmacist just kind of comes with prestige. So, so I keep saying, yes, I'm a pharmacist. I'm a pharmacist. But it's like I had to let go of that identity in order to create my new one, which is a person who creates a life on her own terms. You can do this too. Okay, let's talk about 10 strategies for getting your goals to happen. So you ain't just dreaming like my lovely princess here who's waiting for life to begin. It's time that your life began by, 1, getting the strategies in place that will make your goals happen. So let's talk about that. But before I carry on, let me make sure nobody's leaving me any messages or anything. No, that's cool. Okay, so let's carry right on. Ooh, where am I? Here we are. Cool. So, number 1 thing, and I have mentioned it a few times already in this call, is that you absolutely must write them down. Do not just keep your goals in your head. Some people like the whole typing thing. My personal preference is to have a journal, which I write stuff in. There's something about me actually using my hand to write something. I sometimes even say, I, Rosemary, am going to blah, 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 blah. and I put my name to it, and it just makes it more real to me anyway. And yes, things happen quicker when I write them down on a very regular basis. And to me, that is more like every day, especially when you're working towards something that you really want to make happen in like a short space of time. Then start writing that stuff down every single day. We talked about how you have to be clear about what you want. Write that down every day. Every day you write it down. That is what I suggest that you do, basically, because it keeps it at top of mind. When you start taking actions that are taking you off path, you will remember because you've been writing that stuff down every day. So write it down, get a journal, write it down. If you must, use a computer program, because I know there's like, there's this program called Penzu, which you can actually have an online journal, which is Penzu. So you can go and sign up for an online journal if you don't have a notebook or something that you can use starting today. Go and set up your Penzu journal and just kind of type stuff out. Personally, I like writing, okay? But I have no evidence to prove that writing is any better than typing, except I've only ever used writing, so I think it's awesome. Next, they must be specific and measurable. I've kind of mentioned that with our step one, which was to make sure you know what you want. Yes, get very specific about what it is that you are creating. Okay, very specific. Very, very, none of this general, this is what I kind of want, or this is, I'm just working towards a little bit more money, or just, we want a proper figure. How many more customers, how many more clients, how many more recruits do you want in your team? How much do you want to be making this by the end of this time next year? Or maybe even bring it shorter, break it down. You know what you want to earn this time next year. So what do you need to be earning by the end of the month in order to make sure you're heading in the right direction? Get very, very clear and make it very measurable, so you know when you get there, there is no room for doubt, okay? There is no room for doubt. Even if it's an attitude issue that you're trying to set a goal around, you can measure it in some way. You get creative about how you measure it. Maybe you're that person that shouts at your children all the time and you kind of don't want to be that person anymore. You can decide that I'm going to every single day make sure that I do not shout. That is measurable. You can tell yourself, did I shout? Did I not shout? Then you know, am I getting more patient? Am I not getting more patient? Then you know, because it's all evident in whether you shouted or not. So what can you measure so that you know whether you're getting better or not, instead of kind of deceiving yourself into thinking you're doing something when really nothing is changing because you're not measuring anything. What you measure will change or something. I think there's some kind of saying around that, but whichever way, get very specific, get very measurable with it, okay? Number 3, make sure it's achievable. Just setting some kind of random big dream goal when really you haven't done anything yet, it's probably setting yourself up for a fall. I am very much for the big dreams and the big goals, but then I would suggest that you kind of stagger it, basically, and be realistic. You're not going to, well, achievable. I hate realistic. Oh, did I just say that? Take it back. Make sure it is achievable so it doesn't kind of make you really nervous that you're not going to make it happen. So then you get in your own way because you think, oh, well, I can't achieve it. Okay, that was number 3, wasn't it? You can't achieve it, so therefore I'm not going to bother. So you don't want to do anything too scary. So when you're writing down your goals, make sure there's a part of you, yeah, you want to be challenged, but not challenged so much that you just kind of don't even try because you think, well, I'm already going to fail, so what's the point, basically. So make it achievable, something you can achieve in the time that you've given it, okay? Break it down. Yes, you may have, I kind of mentioned that in the last step, but you may have a big dream, a big goal. Like I have this big, huge goal in my head at the moment of £334,000 every single month I want my business to be making. So I have to break that down into small chunks because it's like the person that I am right now is not quite ready to be making that yet. And yet I know that I'm expanding every day. So we start and we take little steps, but then I am also a believer in a big leap. But then I do think, yes, break it down into mini chunks so that you can take, the actions you need to take every single day that will get you to your goal, okay? So do break it down. Yes, you may have big leaps, but those big leaps will come as a result of you consistently doing the work every single day, because you will expand so rapidly as a person. You will become a person who makes that big dream happen, but you start where you're at. You start here right now. And because sometimes that big goal out there seems so big, and we already talked about it being achievable, you want to bring it down, chunk it down into little chunks that don't scare you too much. And so that you are getting started, as it says on that quote there, you're getting started and you are taking action rather than getting overwhelmed before you even begin. So break it down. What are you going to do today? What are you going to do in the next week? What are you going to do in the next month? And that will bring you all up to the year as you break it down. So break it down so it doesn't feel as if you're going to die. And yes, the negative can be helpful. Sometimes we want to avoid the negatives. We don't want to look at what could go wrong. But sometimes, especially when you're setting up a big goal that you want to make happen, considering the worst case scenarios and knowing that you can handle it will mean that you're not kind of blindly fearful all the time. Okay? Because again, if there's any kind of underlying fear that you're not going to be able to achieve it, you will sabotage yourself. It's just the way human beings are kind of kitted out for whatever reason. If there is an underlying fear that you're not going to make it happen, you will make it not happen, ultimately, probably by not taking any action. So instead of doing that, be very deliberate about looking up front at what the negatives could be. What is it that could stop me from getting what I want? Okay, consider it so that you face it, you start to see that you're more than capable of dealing with it. Okay, so that's what brings us to the next phase, which is that because now you've looked very closely at what could get in your way, is there something you can do to stop that from getting in your way? So for instance, you know you're going to be working with a team of people to make something happen. Can you, if you know there's one member of a team that never pulls their weight or up or whatever, is there any way to kind of get them away from this particular project that you're involved in? Is there an outsourcer that you work with that potentially is getting in the way of you making your dreams happen or your goals happen? Get them out of the way. What can you do to create smooth sailing? If you've taken the time to consider anything that could go wrong, is there something you can do up front to prevent that thing from happening? Most people, and you know what, I've been that person, you want to bury your head in the sand and pretend that nothing negative will ever happen, but sometimes it does. It's not to say that you can't deal with it. Negative things happen. So what? It's part of being an entrepreneur. Okay, I deal with my clients sometimes, and some of the stuff that they have to face as they take their business up to the next level, it's not for the norms, man. And you know what? It's not for the norms. Okay. So we want to make sure that as much as is possible, we are facing anything that could get in our way up front. Don't wait. Don't bury your head in the sand and pretend everything is going to be fine and hunky-dory. It may not be, okay? So, but if you have put some kind of contingency plans in place, you have prepared your mind for the fact that this could happen. When it happens, it's almost like, yeah, whatever. I kind of knew that this could happen, and I've already put things in place that will stop me from going off track, and this is what I'm going to do, and I keep moving forward. So yes, foresee some of this stuff. Do not just kind of move blindly forward because you're trying to be all positive thinking and all that stuff. Let's be real as well. Okay, not real in a horrible way. I'm using that word again. I suppose I use it in a way that is empowering. It's just sometimes people use realistic or real in a very disempowering way, which makes them feel that they cannot do anything. And I would never want anybody to believe that ever, because it's not true. You can do anything you set your mind to, like flint. But yes, you have to set your mind like flint, which is why I talked about those first 4 things to start with, because you have to do that internal work in order for you to set your mind like flint. Okay, so here we are. We're acting to create smooth sailing so that you can handle anything that comes your way. Next, you need a time on it. It's all right having a generic goal that goes on forever. So really, you could die and, you know, you could still be on the journey to it. And you were still taking action, but you never timed it. So it was going to take as long as it took. And yes, you know what? Ultimately, getting what you want will take as long as it takes, but you can set a time on each little chunk that you are going to do. You can set a time on it, and that way you can always do the review and see whether you're, although I think that's one of my other points, that you can do a review and see if you are on track to get where you want to go. So time it. Don't just leave it open-ended. This is going to happen at some point while I'm still alive, maybe. Basically, give it a time. Give it a time and hold yourself to it, okay? Be courageous enough to hold yourself to a time, okay? And then, yes, as I mentioned, you want to be reviewing regularly, because that's the thing. If you have a goal for this time next year and, yeah, you're just kind of vaguely kind of doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then life happens, it gets in the way, you don't really do something for 2 weeks, and then you come back and you do a little bit of that. You need to be reviewing this regularly so that you can hold yourself to account, okay? You must hold yourself to account if you do want to make your goals happen, because yes, life is happening. Life is happening to all of us. There's always something that will get in the way. You might get sick, your children might get sick, and who knows what might happen, really. Yes, you might plan for contingencies, but you want to make sure that you are still consistently taking action, or at the very least you're reviewing when you haven't. Because if you just kind of wait and hope until this time next year, then nothing will change. You want to have been reviewing regularly through the year. Although if you're like me and you're writing down your goals every day, you are definitely reviewing all the time, because it's at the top of your mind. You start to, even when things are happening, you're thinking, this is getting in my way, this is getting in my way. And which is not to say we want to be people that want to just push people away, push our relatives or family away because they're distracting us. But then at the same time, we must, I don't know, treasure our goals, treasure our desires, treasure our dreams, and not allow other people's agendas or anything to get in the way of us doing or accomplishing our calling, our purpose, our mission whilst we are still alive. And if you do not review regularly, these things will be happening to you and you won't even know until you get to this time next year and you're thinking, why have I not accomplished my goals? It's because you didn't review them. It's because you weren't paying attention. You weren't writing them down. You weren't doing everything that I've mentioned here. You were just kind of, yeah, I wrote it down once and I kind of hope that it will happen, and that was kind of it. And then life happened to me and people had what they wanted me to do, and I was just kind of going along being a nice person. But then you never actually make your own things happen. You fulfill everybody else's agenda, but what of yours, honey? What of yours? We are each called here on this planet to fulfill something. Are you ready to make yours happen? Because yes, the world does need you to wake up. And I'm getting kind of serious now. The world does need you to wake up. I really need you to realize that. So this isn't just about you and you doing all the stuff that you want to do to make yourself feel good, which although, yeah, I want you to feel good, but you, as you're feeling good, it's more than that. It becomes that you're changing other people's lives. You're impacting other people, whether you even recognize that you're doing it or not. So honey, we need to wake up. So what is your agenda? And are you sure that you're checking regularly that you are on path, on your path, rather than somebody else's path? Be checking. Visualize it. Yes. Oh, because it's all right writing this stuff down. It's all right kind of knowing it's top of mind, kind of. But you really need to feel what it's going to be like to receive this thing that you're working towards. You really need to have kind of put that whole picture in your head of what it's going to give you, your big reason for making it happen, all of that stuff. For me, I remember just doing my property thing, even when I was crying because everything seemed to be going against me or nothing seems to be working. I would remember that, oh my gosh, I get to be with my kids. I get to home educate them. They don't have to be at nursery from like 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening because I'm at work and the husband's at work and all of this kind of stuff. That kept me going, just knowing that I could create this life where, yes, I get to be with my kids, we get to travel together, and this year has been an incredible year of travel. Just a few weeks ago, I came back from Bali with my daughter, my oldest daughter. Now, this would not have been a reality even 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago, basically, because yeah, I was building my property business then, so or I would have been in my pharmacy. There wouldn't have been no chance of just kind of taking off with my youngest daughter or my oldest daughter, and going off with her anywhere. And yet, the dream is happening because of all this stuff that I'm telling you. Okay, I did visualize it. I did know what I wanted my life to look like, the life I wanted to bring my children up into, the life I want with my husband. All of that stuff has been on my mind for so long. I have dreamt it. I have desired it. I've written it down. I have broken it out. And it is happening because of that. Because I have determined, like I have set my mind like flint that it will happen. And so therefore it is happening, okay? It's just a matter of time, and even more of my dreams will start to happen because again, I will not quit till they do. That's all there is to it. And I will implement these things that I'm telling you. I do implement them. I do have times on my goals. I am very specific about what I want. I know all of this stuff, and I visualize. I do spend, in the morning, I'm kind of imagining what my life is like. I'm being grateful for the things that have come into my life, and therefore I'm creating even more of the good stuff. You can do this too. I am just the most regular, normal person on the planet, I'll have you know. And if there was any doubt at all, and yet I am making things happen in my life, you can do the same too. You are more powerful than you realize. And yes, this brings me to the big why. For me, as I mentioned, with my property business, it was my kids. I wanted to have that time. I wanted to be that mom, basically, that I, in some ways, hadn't had. It was because my dad had a car accident, which meant that my mom had to go into work. My dad had a car accident that left him paralyzed from his neck down. So my mom did have to work all the hours that God sent, so she was away from home a lot of the time. I did not want that for my kids. I wanted to be present with them. And that was a big, big, big reason for me. And now I have an even bigger reason, because yes, I've accomplished the big reason that kept me going through my property stuff, but now there's a bigger reasons to me. It's fulfilling my calling on this planet, seeing people come alive, seeing 334,000 leaders waking up every single day to the fact that they are capable of so much more than they realize. That to me is my calling on this planet, showing them how they can create wealth in their own whatever. And that keeps me going every single day. I get up, whatever I feel like, I have that big reason why that I will keep going. The life I want, even the bigger life I want for my family, that keeps me going. What keeps you going? Do you know your big reason why you are working your butt off to make this business, this entrepreneurial venture work? Do you know? Do you know, or are you far too comfortable thinking, oh, well, well, life is okay? Because that's what I used to say as a pharmacist. Life is at least is okay. I can go to work, I get some money, whatever. I can come back home and yeah, do a little bit of what I really know what I should be doing in the evenings and weekends, maybe. But then it was yeah, the big reason of my kids that got me off my butt to take action, considerable action, as well as, I joined the mastermind. I didn't leave it to chance anymore. I made sure there was somebody outside of myself holding myself accountable. All of these things gave me a big reason to keep moving forward. Because as I said at the very start, business ain't easy all the time. It really isn't. And at times when you feel as if, oh, can I do this thing? And I'm here to tell you that you can, but you must put structures in place to enable you to keep moving regardless of how you feel that day, regardless of what is happening to you that day. You can you can do whatever you set your mind to, okay? So you need a big reason why. Make a list. Let it make you cry as to why you are doing the work that you do, okay? And yes, mastermind. For me, that has been like the panacea. Is that even, I think it's a word, but it has been the solution to a whole lot of stuff for me. Because before, pre-children, getting the big reason to keep going, I was just kind of trying to work it out on my own. Oh, those charlatans, I don't want to pay nobody no money to do this or to do the other. I don't want to, Well, I stayed stuck, basically, and that was it. Whereas then after depression, after bankruptcy, all of that stuff, I realized, okay, if I keep doing what I used to do, I will not get anywhere. I'll be back here talking the same nonsense that I was talking before. So then I joined a mastermind group. I couldn't even afford this thing, for goodness sake. My husband's eyes almost popped out his head thinking, oh my God, how are we going to pay for this thing? And it was like, I just know that I need it. I know that I need it, and so we just have to figure it out, and we did. Basically, yeah, there was debt involved, but then thank the Lord, I worked my butt off and got that money paid. So basically, and it's like, for me, being a part of a mastermind group is not negotiable. Working with a coach is not negotiable. In fact, I work with more than one at the moment because I must be held accountable. I know that I must. And also, it's even more than that. It's just having the other people's ideas. There's something about more than one person kind of brainstorming, getting ideas together that can be a very powerful environment in which you can make your goals come to pass. Because you might not know the answer to something, or you might think there's there's only one way to do it until somebody opens your eyes to the fact that you can do it any old way you choose to do it, or some other way that they know of, because they've come from a different background. They have had different experiences from you, so they see things differently from you, and then you can pick their brain because you're together in a mastermind environment making things happen. For me, after I won that Porsche Boxster, I joined this other mastermind called the League of Warriors. And in 3 months, my business doubled because of the ideas I was getting from that group, because I had to turn up every month and be accountable to that group. And it was like, yeah, am I going to go there and say I didn't do my work? I think not. My pride would not allow me to just kind of not do the work. And it's plucking their brains, it's accountability, it's all of that stuff. So if you're really, truly serious about getting your goals happening, then you can't do it alone. That's just it. I've already harped on about how, yeah, the business of the journey of business is tough. It is tough. It's not for the norms. It's not. And the norms will be quoting how, oh, they don't have the money to do this and they don't have the this to do the other. And it's like, yeah, fine. You don't do it. Don't do it. Don't get the stuff that you want out of life. Just live your mediocre life if that's what you choose to do. But we are not norms, okay? We are leaders. We are deliberate millionaires. We deliberately create a life that allows us to get the goals, the dreams, and all of that stuff. We want that to happen. And so we do whatever it takes to put something in place to make things happen. And for me, and I think for everyone, a mastermind group is just what you need. It is absolutely what you need. I don't care how you get it, but you need to be working with somebody other than just yourself, okay? You need it. You need it. If you are serious about making things happen, you absolutely need it. And yes, in which case, yeah, I will mention to you about the Deliberate Millionaire, because that is the mastermind group that I have put together for people, for serious entrepreneurs who do want to make things happen, okay? Whether you choose this one or you choose something else, you need something, okay? You do need something that will expose you to other leaders just like you on the same journey, all trying to, you know, step up from their current experience of life into a different experience of life. And you know what, again, I must emphasize this. Sometimes people think that coaching or masterminding is just for weak people. And I just tell you that, anyway, for you to think that way, you probably are weak. So I'm sorry, but that's the truth of it, because it's only the strong that admit the fact that they can't do it alone. Only a strong person can say that. There's some people that are just wanting everybody to give you all the answers and just kind of not do anything yourself. Yeah, that is weakness in some ways, because the coaching, masterminding is not about that. It's about you discovering the answers within yourself, as well as working with other people who are moving forward, who will give you ideas. But when it comes down to it, it is up to you to make that choice that you're going to take that idea and run with it. The Deliberate Millionaire is a place where you can get the internal work done. At the moment, we're doing something called the Science of Getting Rich, basically, which is all about sorting out the internal stuff. It's also about the actions you must take in order to get rich, like gravity. Because I just think there is a science to getting rich, but most of the time we as human beings just complicate things. And instead of seeing it like gravity, there's a law of gravity. You do the work, you get the result. That's it, basically. If you fall out of a tree, you fall down and you hurt yourself. That's gravity. If you do the work, you get the result. That is the law of making money. And yet, because of all the internal stuff, we don't do the work. We don't do the work in enough quantity to get the result, and then wonder why we're not doing stuff. And that, again, is what the Deliberate Millionaire is about, is to help you stay consistent with doing the work. It trains you on the business side of things. So you have business training delivered to your emails all the time. You have the group, and that is where, to me, it's the power. That there in that group, I deliver training in some way or motivation in something in every day. I'm in that group every day, helping people, answering questions, whatever it is that they need. I am trying to provide for them, basically, and so that they can move forward, so that we as Deliberate Millionaires can move forward, because I do truly believe that every single person in the group, and, you know, outside of the group as well, is here for a reason, okay? And if I can empower them to fulfill that reason, we all on this planet will be better off as a result of that. So for me, it's like a very big picture in what I do. And that's what you'll be coming into as part of the Deliberate Millionaire. Okay, and just before I carry on, because there is actually an offer on it at the moment, let me just put that up, where the whole Black Friday thing, I decided to kind of put something out there for you guys. So I'll just put that on screen so you can see that while I carry on talking. But yes, you will experience, if you choose to join us this weekend before Monday Eastern it's Sunday, Monday Eastern midnight, so midnight at Eastern time. If you choose to join before that, you get to experience 2 months of the Deliberate Millionaire for the price of 1 month, okay? So do pop over to either rosemarynonnynight.com/Black Friday. Why did I not change that? I was going to, and somehow I didn't, but that should say Black Friday. In fact, I'll type it while you're here. Black Friday. Ooh, now it's going blue, so you can't even see it. Anyway, but let's see. Isn't it just wonderful when you do things like this? Let's remove the link so you can see that. Okay, so yes, Black Friday, Rosemary Nonny Night. .com/Black Friday. You can go and read more about what's all about. I'm not really sure why I put this slide in. I was going to take it off and then I forgot to. So I'll carry on. But yes. Pop over to rosemarynonnynight.com/Black Friday in order for you to take advantage of the Black Friday weekend offer, which runs out because normally it's $37 a month for you to be part of this group. But if you want to take advantage of it this month, then I'm giving you 2 whole months for just $37. That's about 25 quid if you're in the UK. So I do think it is something that you should take a look at. Try it out for the 60 days. See how you're getting on with it, okay? So yes, but there's a button on the screen for you to do this. But coming back to what I'm saying here in terms of the goals that we're setting, although I have a feeling this is the last slide because I have talked about, oh no, there's more. No, there isn't more. You can find out what's included on the actual page on the Deliberate Millionaire. But this is it, guys. In order for your goals to happen, because I wanted to make sure that I covered the 4 stages that you need to go through. That is that you must know what you want. You must know that you are worth it. You must know that you can achieve it. And you must then take super action in order to go forth and prosper. And then I've talked you through 10 strategies to make sure that your goals are happening. These are strategies I use every day. You must get into the habit of being that deliberate person who is disciplined about, this is what I'm trying to create. This is what I am creating. It's not even trying to anymore. This is what I am creating. And so I will write it down every day. I will break it down into chunks so that I know what I'm doing. I will be very specific, very measurable. I will time it. I will look and see what could get in my way of doing things. And I will put in contingencies to make sure that these things do not happen. I know that I'm capable of dealing with this stuff. I will know my big reason why. I will write that stuff down. I will keep moving forward. I will surround myself with other leaders such as myself in order to make sure that what I want to make happen does in fact happen. These are things that you must do every day in order to attract all the customers, all the clients, all the recruits you want in your business. Business itself is straightforward. Life in some ways is kind of straightforward. It's just that, yes, we're dealing with people. We are people. We come with emotions. We come with all kinds of stuff that tells us that we can or cannot do stuff. But I'm here to remind you that you are created in the image of God. You are powerful beyond what you realize to date. You can make your goals happen if you will choose to do the work, okay? So on that note, I do want to make sure that I am inviting you to the Deliberate Millionaire because I know that it has the potential to change your life, okay? Basically, us in there. It's rosemarynonnynight.com/Black Friday, or you can click the button on there, which will take you directly to PayPal for you to invest that $37 that will give you 2 months for the price of 1 just this weekend. I think it's the best ever offer I've done so far on the Deliberate Millionaire. You've never got 2 months for this little amount ever, okay? And you may never do it again, but it just came to me yesterday that, oh yeah, let's do something for Black Friday. I wasn't really gonna do anything. And I thought, you know what, why not? So I'd set it up for you guys so that, yes, this weekend you get to join the Deliberate Millionaire, you get all that business training, you get that live call with me every month, you get to be exposed to me every single day, as well as I'm in there answering all your questions, everything. I'm putting in all kinds of training stuff in there, like this call will go in there and will not be accessible to other people. All of that stuff that I've done in the past is accessible to people in the Deliberate Millionaire. I'm always doing new boot camps for them so that we're going together as a group. It is just an awesome place to be. So come and join us in the Deliberate Millionaire. It'd be such a pleasure to have you there. So you can go straight over to PayPal by clicking that Join In Now button, which will take you to PayPal. It will ask you for your card details and all of that stuff to invest that $37 for the first 2 months. Basically, you won't have to pay anything again until the 3rd month if you choose to stick with us. Okay, or pop over to the page, which is rosemarynonnyknight.com/Black Friday. Okay, do not go to the link on there because that will take you to the regular one where you'll be paying $37 each month from the start. So go to Black Friday, see what is on offer, see the kind of people we're inviting into our world. And yes, come and join us. It is time for you to fight for, to create the life, the business you want, and stop living the one you don't. Because you don't have to, man. Okay, and on that note, I'm going to bring this to a close. It's been such a pleasure to have you, and see there's no questions here, so that's fine. And I will see you in group. Goodbye.